We are less than 2 weeks away until the Bears report to training camp up at Hallis Hall, and you can definitely sense the anticipation. Tickets sold out for open practices within just minutes. I'm Cassie Carlson, joined this week by Pat, the designer from ESPN Chicago, and the Windy City Breeze. Pat, thanks for coming in and coming on the show. We're excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me on. This is so much fun to be here with you.
I know, and it's summer, but the countdown is on, and I just mentioned tickets sold out. I have a couple family members like, we're going to get tickets this year, and they were in the queue, and they were left off of the list because so many fans want to see Ben Johnson coach this Bears team. Can you sense the anticipation?
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, I think if you were on Twitter yesterday, you saw the excitement and fury of both sides, and there's so much anticipation on this season of what is Caleb Williams actually going to turn into with Ben Johnson in the building now? What is this offense going to look like? Cassie, I say this. Are we going to have an offense-led team for the first time in so many years? Like, there's so much excitement around this team, and you can feel it in just how Bears fans are ready.
I think definitely the offense is going to be the main focus in training camp. We feel good about the defense, especially I think the secondary, and you like that they brought in Dennis Allen, given the fact that he has 2 head coaching experience and stints that he can bring and kind of take care of that side of the ball for Ben Johnson. Then it's, what is Ben Johnson going to do with Caleb Williams, second year as a quarterback, kind of trying to rework him and reconfigure his brain after he goes through a really tough rookie season. And then I'm also looking at what I think is going to be the biggest storyline of training camp, and that is going to be the offensive line and at left tackle. What do you think are the biggest storylines if you were to predict?
I think you're right there. You hit the nail on the head. The offensive line right now is one of the biggest conversations because you added so much to this offensive line. But that left tackle position, Braxton Jones is going to be starting training camp off a little bit banged up, right? And so does Ozzie Trapillo get an opportunity? I think the bigger storyline in that, will Ozzie Trapillo be signed by the time we get to training camp?
What's with the second-round draft picks?
You know what? I think when you look at the first 2 draft picks of the second round, got fully guaranteed contracts, right? All of a sudden, in my mind, this is how I see it. I'm not reporting anything here, but like, it feels like agents are like, okay, fully guarantee my draft pick, my client's contract, because that's what we want to see. When you see this many, I mean, 2 signed. I believe there's still 30 unsigned to this point. Like, that is insane. We haven't seen something like that before. So it is going to be interesting to see how this works out. But that is the one part that I do give Ryan Poles a ton of credit on. He's very, very good at dealing with the contract situations and dealing with them in the right way.
You mentioned Braxton Jones, and it's so hard because we haven't seen him at all throughout the offseason program. And we're going to walk into report day, which is the 22nd, and it's only a press conference. And I think one of the first questions is going to be, will we see Braxton Jones on the field? We actually don't know if he is ready to take the practice field day 1 of training camp and compete for that left tackle position. And if he can't, then it's between Ozzie Trapillo and Karan Amagaji, and I think you automatically think, well, Trapillo is Ben Johnson's guy, and he's Ryan Poles' guy, and I think he has the upper hand in that competition off the bat.
Yeah, listen, where we're starting now, it depends on if he's on the field, right? But you have to feel like Ozzie Trapillo does have the upper hand. Now, Karan Amagaji in the offseason program, now he wasn't wearing pads, there wasn't anything prepared, right? Like, but you do feel like Karan Amagaji and Ozzie showed some really good things, that it may be an entertaining competition. I'll go as far as to say, though, Cassie, if Braxton Jones is not there, this may be a competition that Braxton loses just by the fact that he wasn't there to compete for it early on. Ben Johnson told us he wants to have this offensive line set quickly so that they can get to work and hit the ground running. You don't do that if you're waiting for Braxton Jones to all of a sudden get healthy, and then you try and throw him in there and see what he looks like.
Yeah, do you feel like Braxton Jones is the starter at left tackle, or is it a complete question mark at this point?
I think right now you have to feel like Braxton's the starter, right? He's got the NFL talent. He's already played 2 seasons in the league, right? 3 seasons in the league. And so you feel like he is the guy who probably has the edge right now, but that's until somebody shows something. If Karan Amagaji comes out there and he's absolutely shutting things down on the left side, or if Ozzie Trapillo goes out there and he's shutting things down on the left side, dominating, the Dayo Odengbo or Dominique Robinson, who got praise from Ben Johnson before we left, like, you're not going to go into that situation and all of a sudden say, well, yeah, I know that's working, but let's see what Braxton looks like.
Yeah, we're talking about the offensive line. We talk about the offensive line every single year, but there is a different tone to it this year. And it was interesting, every publication is releasing these lists heading into training camp, and PFF released offensive line rankings. They have the Eagles at 1, Broncos at 2, Bills at 3. The Bears check in at 4, and that is shocking to me. And we were talking about it before recording this show. It's like, when was the last time the Bears had a legit offensive line where you walked into the season, you felt like that could be a strength of their team? Like 10 plus years, I think we're talking. But to see it ranked 4th, that was alarming to me.
It was shocking. I'm not going to lie to you. And I think it speaks to the work that either Ben Johnson or Ryan Poles, whoever you want to give the credit to, right, did with
Who
the offense.
deserves the credit?
To me, I think you have to look at what Ryan Poles did this offseason, or I'm sorry, in previous off seasons. We knew last year the Bears needed an offensive line. We didn't come into the season and go, oh yeah, the center position is fully fixed. That's all they've got everything they need. We watched it out there and we were like, these guys are going to have to add an offensive lineman. They didn't. Ben Johnson walks in, you add 3 in basically the first 4 weeks of work there. I think you look at the coach that walked in and said, hey, listen, this is what I need to be successful here. Go out and get it for me. So I think it's still Ryan Poles who has to get it done, still Ryan Poles who has to work out the contracts. But at the end of the day, this is what Ben Johnson wants, and Ryan Poles giving Ben Johnson what he wants.
I like this list, too, because I think we all regarded the Lions' offensive line as one of the best in the league. But the impact of Frank Ragnow retiring, I think we were just having this conversation with Dan Miller from Detroit. He's the voice of the Lions, and everyone's discussing the fact that the Lions lost both coordinators as maybe the biggest storyline heading into their season. But the fact that they lost him and also Zeitler as well on the offensive line could end up being the biggest impact to this Lions team and maybe opens the door for the Bears. And what I like about Ben Johnson, as you hinted at it, is that he said, this is what I want for the offensive line. I want to get it figured out quick. Whereas every other training camp we've walked into, it's like, all right, we have Ryan Bates on this team. We have Coleman Shelton. Bates, we want him to be the center, but then within the first 2 practices, you see him flipping spots on the offensive line. You're like, when are they going to ever figure this out? Like, the continuity hasn't been there, and I feel like there's going to be an emphasis on finding that really, really quick this year.
Yeah, 100%. I think when you look around the division as well, right, like having that stability is going to be incredibly important for the Chicago Bears, because you're in a division right now, Cassie, where like everyone else is really, really talented. You bring up the Lions, right? The Lions, to me, are a team where, yes, there's a lot of turnover there, but we're going to find out this season. I think a lot of people believe, oh, Dan Campbell's just the big guy that's in the middle that doesn't really know what he's doing. Everyone else had the answers. Well, what if Dan Campbell's John Harbaugh? What if Dan Campbell's the guy that can always go out and always find the right coordinator and always find the piece that keeps you competitive? We're going to find that out this season. I do think there's going to be a little bit of a step back from the Lions this year, but in totality, to me, you have to hit the ground running, because when you look around this division, everyone else is still ready to go. All the players are still there. Now, I've been there where, as a Bears fan, look, we went from Vic Fangio to Sean Desai. We were like, all the players are still there. It's going to be fine. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not a great experience for Bears fans on the defense, right? But, like, I think what you look at is that all the players are still there, and the head of the snake is still the guy that they believe in the most. It's going to be very interesting looking around the division where you've still got the Lions at the top. You've got the Packers, who still have LaFleur, still have Jordan Love in there. Like, you can't wait to try and get yourself to a point where, like, okay, 6, 7, 8 weeks into the season, we figured it out.
We got the Vikings on Monday Night Football, and they were the biggest spenders this offseason.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the thing this season, where if the Bears can start this thing off 2-0, I'm not saying they will, but if you can, you give yourself a leg up that maybe the division didn't expect you to have. That's going to make you very competitive in this season.
Those first 2 weeks of the schedule are a little bit daunting when you look at just like, taken, for example, last year. It's like they had more than half of the season to get ready for the division. Now it's like, here you go. Let's go see how you stack up against some of the best in the league. I want to get to some ESPN grades that were released for every team this offseason and ask you what you, because I feel like in Chicago, everyone's talking about they hired Ben Johnson, they overhauled the interior of the offensive line. The Bears get an A for the offseason, but nationally, they were graded a B-. Did that surprise you?
It surprises me, but it feels like a take that is one of this season. What is it going to do this season? In that article, I think it was Seth Walder, he talks about, the Bears going out and signing Grady Jarrett and what impact that's going to have on the team. You paid way too much for Grady Jarrett. Says he wouldn't have signed Joe Thuney to an extension. You wouldn't have gone out and traded for Jonah Jackson. The moves the Bears made this offseason have nothing to do with just this season. Yes, you want to win this season. You want to be successful this season. Again, like I said, you want to hit the ground running. But when you talk about the moves that they made, you can't grade this any less than an A, because you changed thinking at Hallis Hall. You changed what the expectations are on this team moving forward. You changed how this team may be built moving forward. And you change the architect in Ben Johnson coming in and having a completely different mindset on what he wants this team to look like offensively. We haven't had that in history. I think when you look at the entire coaching staff as a whole, this is one of the most star-studded coaching staffs that's been here since Mike Ditka was in the building with Buddy Ryan. So to me, this is a very, very different world that the Bears are in. And if you're looking at this offseason as just, well, you got it done this year, but is it going to get you more than 9 wins? It's not just about 9 wins.
And it's also, they set themselves up for the next 3 years.
Yes.
Like, right, they made their window very clear by extending all those players and having Caleb Williams on his rookie contract. Like, the window is 3 years. That's what we're going to give these players right now. We feel like we have added the right pieces to get us to the top. We're at least competing in the playoffs and hopefully NFC championships in the next 3 years, right?
Yeah, 100%. Their goal is to be good now. Ben Johnson has reiterated that a ton of times. Anytime somebody asks about a 4,000-yard passer, watch this season. Anytime somebody asks about a 30-touchdown quarterback, watch this season. He's not saying give me 2 years to figure this thing out and then we're going to get it going. I think, to me, when you look at this offseason, yes, they have set their window. They have set their expectations right now. But it is not about just the next couple of years here in Chicago. This is about building a foundation that is going to last here for a while. And that's something we haven't seen the Chicago Bears do in an offseason. They've gone into many offseasons on hope. I hope this works. We hope this player pans out. We hope this player has a step here. I don't think there's a lot of hope on this team now. DJ Moore is good at football. Joe Tooney's one of the best guards in football, if not the best guard in football, depending on what numbers you value, right? Drew Dahlman was the best center that was on the market last season. Like, there's so many of the best that the Bears came away with this offseason. I think you have to look at this team and say they've changed completely how they do business up there at Hallis Hall. And because of that, I can't give this offseason anything less than an A.
And I feel like the intensity that we saw from Ben Johnson paired with the attention to detail that we saw from him and this coaching staff, which were the two key buzzwords that we had this offseason, like, it definitely feels different. Now, you pulled out 2 numbers, 4,000 passing yards and 30 touchdowns. Is that how you judge Caleb Williams and his progress that you see in the second season? I feel like nationally, the conversation is like everyone's already counting this guy out.
Yeah.
And he hasn't even had a coach to give him the resources and the play calling that he needs to succeed.
I'll say this. I judge Caleb Williams on those moments that you had last season that should have been wins, where if you get a couple of these, I'm never going to let that go. Get a couple of these here, just simple timeout.
I like that Ben Johnson threw that up there
immediately.
Right away. He's like, I know what to do.
Hey,
rest easy.
If we're in this situation, I got it. Like, if you get a couple of timeouts, if you get the Washington game is the big one that everyone talks about, right? When you look at Dan Quinn immediately after going, you don't give me 15 yards, I can't throw that Hail Mary, the game's over, we lose. Do you win those games this season? Because if you do, that means you're a quarterback in the fourth quarter that when the moment is biggest, you're getting the job done. I think that's what we saw from Caleb Williams last season. Yeah. And to be honest, I think that's who Caleb Williams is. The big question is that going to be the case this season with Ben Johnson calling things differently?
How long do you give him? Because we talked about the tough schedule that they're going to face and the fact that they go Vikings, they go Lions, then they go Cowboys.
Yep.
So it's like, if we don't see it start how everyone wants it to start, going 3-0, like, when do questions start coming in, and how long do you give Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson paired together to get the offensive identity, which we asked that question, I want to say, up until week 8 of the football season last year, and then we just realized they were never going to have one.
Listen, I think you have to give it some time. I'm not sitting here telling you that it has to be perfect on the first game, the first play. I need to see Caleb Williams throwing a dot down the field into the hands of Roma
Wouldn't be surprised, though, if that was the first play of the season with Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. I'm not saying don't do it. I would love to see it. But I think here's the big thing that stands out to me. When I think about the Kyle Shanahans, when I think about the Matt LaFleurs, when I think about all of these offensive-minded coaches, the geniuses, if you will, that step in there. We didn't look at their first season and go, I don't know if this guy's got it. I don't know if he's a good head coach. I don't know if he has control of this team. You looked at all of their first seasons and you went, oh, yeah, he's exactly who we expected him to be. Kyle Shanahan walked in and you were like, yeah, same dude that went to the Super Bowl in Atlanta. They called it a little different and got far again. Like, you know when these coaches are good. The Dan Campbells are the anomaly, and I think that's what we hoped for Matt Eberflus for 3 years of like, well, there's that Dan Campbell moment that's got to come, right? Eventually, you're getting all this stuff. Most coaches, that Dan Campbell moment doesn't happen for. Dan Campbell is the anomaly, and so for me with Ben Johnson, I do think we need to see it fairly quickly, and I think we need to see some semblance of like, Ben still knows what he's doing, even as a head coach. The offense still looks good. It just may not be a perfect product yet.
And obviously getting the run game going would help this offense tremendously. It's something they couldn't do last year. And I'm throwing you a curveball question here, but Kyle Monangai drafted in the 7th round. The reason I'm asking is because we have Greg Schiano, as Rutgers head coach, on the show this week. And it was a cool story that he told that Kyle Monangai also wasn't recruited out of high school, and he wasn't put on scholarship until he got to Rutgers. It really didn't produce until his junior and senior year. He's like, this kind of road that he's traveling, being a 7th round pick and trying to make the team, and you're hearing all these people rave about him, is nothing new to him. Do you think he stands a chance of making this roster?
I think he has a great chance of making this roster. Listen, Kyle Monangai ran the football really well in a division. We talk about him being a 7th round pick and look at the stature and look at the size, and yes, you do have to do it at the NFL level. But the last time I checked, the Big Ten wasn't whatever one of these new conferences is that they just throw up and there's like 14 teams in it, right? The Big Ten is the Big Ten. Having a 1,200-yard season like he did. Back to back. In an offense where literally the offense was, well, we don't really have a great quarterback option here, so we're going to turn around and give it to you. The defense knew it. I can guarantee you that Kyle Monangai was getting the football and he was still able to make plays. To me, I think that translates to an NFL level very well. And when you look at another guy, similar stature, similar play, different division, different conference, and Ashton Jeanty, that's all people raved about. Now, I'm not saying that Kyle Monangai is Ashton Jeanty, but I do look at him and say, not only does he have a chance to make this team, but I think he has a chance to be a big part of this team here in this first year, especially with all of the question marks you have at the running back position right now.
All right, we're going to turn our attention to stadium talk because a survey was sent out to select fans. We can't quite pin down, what made someone receive this survey and what season ticket holders did not receive this survey, but something was posted on Twitter. It was of the seating arrangement of what they had proposed could be a mock-up of the new stadium, and everyone's freaking out. They're like, this is, you said, Allegiant Stadium or U.S. Bank. Like, premium seats are what the focus is. And do you have any hot takes about, like, what this survey is meaning for maybe what the Bears are thinking with the stadium?
Here's the thing. I love the fact that the Bears are sending it out to, I'd love it to go to all fans, you know what I mean? But like, they're trying to gauge what fans want for the fan experience. And I think that that's a good thing. You can't discredit them for that. They care about our opinion in some way, and that's very important. The one thing that I will say is this. If you win football games, you could play it out here on State Street and no one would care. You don't have to sit there and worry about all of the bells and whistles with this stadium. That big space in the middle that I think at Allegiant Stadium is a pool, make it a bar. Yeah, I mean, we're very...
That's what we like to do here in Chicago. Pour us a beer and we'll be happy.
We're very simple people. I like the fact that they're going all out. I would have liked the fact to see more seats probably available to the fans, because the one thing that I think is undersold is something that we saw in Seattle all those years where they were good and dominating and going to Super Bowls. It was very difficult to play there because you couldn't hear anything. The fan advantage is still an advantage that you want to take advantage of. And not to say no matter how many seats it ends up being, Bears fans won't rock the house there. But I do think packing that thing with as many fans as possible is going to be so important for this team.
If it is similar to U.S. Bank Stadium, I will give Minnesota some credit, where I think that place is one of the coolest fan experiences, and it's so loud inside of there that I do think it's a really tough place to play. And if they have all those premium seating options, like if that translates to what the Bears are going to do with their new stadium as well, like I think you can still build that atmosphere in a place. You mentioned none of this matters if they win, but they have put it out there that shovels should be in the ground in 2025, and we're now nearing the back half of it. And I don't know when a stadium announcement could possibly happen in the middle of the season or training camp. I guess it could happen at any point. But does the conversation start like changing a little bit if we get near the end of the year and there's no update or no announcement?
I think here's the thing: if the Bears are at the end of the year and we're 4-12, it's a very loud conversation. Where's my stadium at? If we get to the end of the year and the Bears are 12-5, you know what I mean? I said 4-12. If the Bears are 12-5, the extra game still gets me. We're going to be focused in on Soldier Field. We're going to be focused in on the fact that some West Coast team may have to come out here to Chicago and play in the cold. And I'll guarantee you this, all of a sudden there's going to be a lot more Bears fans than there is now going, we can't give up these cold weather games.
No roof.
So I think that the conversation does depend and does dictate on what the Bears do. And I think that's why we saw this team make the investment that they did in this team. You spend millions to make billions at the end of the day, and hopefully those millions that we spent this year pay off, and by the time the stadium's here, we're winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, I am curious what else was on that survey, so if anyone else wants to chime in or send some screenshots, send them our way. Training camp is always fun. It's like the first day of school when everyone reports, even for the media members. What's your favorite part about going up to Hallis Hall every day, early mornings this year for training camp?
Early mornings this year, because if you have to drive back to the city.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, I am here for it.
Yes.
I am all in on that. No, my favorite part is there's a feeling when football is started that we're going to get. And that feeling cannot be replicated any other time than the beginning of training camp, because everyone in the building, media members included, is so locked in on every little thing that happens. And that is one of those things where, like, there's no replacement for it. It is the start of football for us here that go up there every day. It is the start of, this is a long journey, and we're going to see how this ends. But right now, we can feel good about it because everyone in the building feels good about it. So I love that feeling, and that's it's what keeps me coming back.
Well, it's football in Chicago, right? Bears are king, and we were talking about this earlier. It's like, maybe it's like this in every media market, but we don't believe it is, where we are writing down every single pass, every single incompletion, interception, what coaches are saying to what players, who's chirping on the defense to the offense. Like, we get so in the weeds of everything that's going on because we know people love it, and it's so fun to just hear all that, and it all, like, kind of plays into the story of the season. You always reference back to it, and then the season happens, and you're like, wow, never expected this to happen this year.
Let's hope we have more wins this year. I will say the part I'm probably most looking forward to this year, I think everyone is most looking forward to, maybe not the running backs, Eric Bieniemy.
Oh, yeah.
By far. He is a gem to have in the building, and he is so much fun to hear, so much fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, football is everything, and everything is football.
I feel like we should make like a notes sheet of all the quotes we hear, and we know obvious shirts are out there, and like maybe some obvious shirts will be made of Eric Bieniemy quotes.
100%. We need some obvious shirts of the Eric Bieniemy quotes. Like the what was the one he said? You moving like an old man out there.
Yeah.
So I think he said it to Kyle Minogue.
Most you can't say on TV, which make them even better in my opinion.
Yes. Like, tap in on the Twitter if you want to see, or X, I guess it is now, if you want to see kind of what some of these quotes are. But Eric Bieniemy is just an absolute pleasure to watch coach football, especially knowing, and no shade to Chad Morton last year. Chad Morton was a good running backs coach, but the having a coach that did it as a player, did it as a coach, and now you're getting to see what made him successful. It's just really cool to see that.
Instant respect and free entertainment for us.
100%.
Pat, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Offseason is now available on Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.